Hello and welcome back to Rage Gaming and more Dragons Dogma 2. Today I'm talking about useful or just interesting things you might not know about, anything from mechanical tips to lesser known options or the weird and unexpected. So let's just get straight to it. First up, a little note about New Game Plus. When you complete the game with whatever ending you pick, you will go or be able to enter New Game Plus, which is a refreshed world giving you a chance to tackle what might have been missed in the original, sure. But there are new mechanics and different options found within this. This is best shown with the New Game Plus version of, say, the Dragon Forged NPC. When you speak with him in this mode, he'll offer you a bunch of new options. Firstly, with trading, you get his stock, which is greatly improved, but he begins offering a wall of incredible weapons, awesome armor pieces, the things that you would find in the unmodded world version of the Dragon Forged. That requires a specific ending choice though, and it's just nice to see that you don't have to do the unmodded world to get those options. More interesting than that though is the entirely new options, tied to wyrmslife crystals of course. You've got Receive Blessing, Reset Enhancement, Improved Vocation, and Improved Skill. Receive Blessing means you get a buff for one full day, a potent passive. This could be improved affinity progress for relationships, it could be classic increased experience gain, more discipline, which could be great for leveling a new vocation, or the very potent fast stamina recovery. They're all good, but it is limited to that single day and it can be pretty expensive on the crystals. Next you have Reset Enhancement, which lets you take a piece of gear and reset it to 0. You would do that if you'd used the wrong smithing style on an item, like maybe you upgraded a piece of gear with the wrong style and you want to change it to the right style. It's a neat feature and one that I feel should be in the normal version. But more interesting than those is the Improved Vocation option. Pick one vocation to improve for 20 crystals and it'll get increased stat bonuses per level. So if you're leveling as a strength focused vocation, you get extra levels of strength from min-maxing your character at a statistical level. I would say it's pretty unimportant with how easy the game is generally. Best of all of these, most impactful I think, is the skill improvement option. You get to spend 20 crystals to enhance one specific weapon skill, which will then half the stamina cost for using that upgraded skill. Only one weapon skill can be improved per person. Does mean say your most important weapon skill you're going to use, like say the splitter spinning for my thief, that'd cost half as much stamina, so I could spam it way more. It is very potent as an upgrade and well worth 20 crystals. So yes, New Game Plus does introduce new mechanics and the Dragon Forged NPC has a lot of new stuff to consider. But let's now move on to an interesting one. Did you know that the various harpies of this world can have different faces? Check this one out. Delightful, isn't it? It's interesting to see that they went to this kind of subtle detail between the different enemies and the variety they actually have. You have harpies that come in different types, right? But some of them, no matter what type they are, can have this horrible disfigured mouth appearance where it's like their lips are just missing. I often find one of these within a pack whenever I'm looking. It's something I completely missed in normal gameplay because it wasn't until I saw it discussed on Reddit that I was even aware it could happen. So I've been surprised that it's pretty common to spot. But yes, there are a few harpy types out there. There's the regular ones with a more standard normal looking appearance. There's the venin harpies, which are generally smaller and faster with a deadly venom to watch out for. You've got gore harpies, which are higher in health and they're covered in feathers. They look more like owls if anything. Definitely look a lot older. And then there's the rarest known as the succubus, which you can notice easily when your pawns call them out when you see them. And the fact that they often laugh during combat and drain your health and stamina. They've got these really nice colors to their feathers. Either way, I think it's an interesting thing to know about. All this variety for one enemy type. Now let's talk about some vocation specific mechanics. As I am a thief main, most of these are going to be for thief, but it's all interesting. First up though, we have warrior and its awesome ability to get around the world by abusing one weapon skill, any kind of the lunge weapon skill. The strat is just very simple. You throw out the skill and hold it and that consumes stamina, but you're kind of charging or sprinting forward, trying to impale something. But if you intentionally veer right or left to steer to avoid charging into something, you continuously charge and make quite a lot of progress pretty quick. It means you're kind of super sprinting around the terrain. If you enhance your stamina, maybe get a buff from a mage like I'm doing, go even quicker and for even longer. And it just means that lots of areas are quite easy to pass, flying by annoying packs of enemies and not having to slow down. Some areas are going to be more difficult to actually maintain the sprint and you can exit it before actually running out of stamina, so I obviously recommend that. But if you want another way to speed up your travel, I want to reference thief movement and options. Did you know that thief can entirely ignore weight limit and stamina related slows? And it's very easy. You just use a swift step dash, so you step forward as if to do an evade, and then follow that with a simple light attack, which is a carve. Then swift step, then carve, and repeat. As you can see, this maintains what is equal to sprint movement, but you're not actually spending stamina to do it, so you can do it infinitely and maintain the speed as you go. Also, if you make yourself overweight when you're just exploring and picking things up, passively you'll get slowed slowed down. If you're using this technique with the thief, it doesn't slow it at all. The only real downside is that when you go by enemies, sometimes it'll auto-lock attack them and drag you into them, but you can dash away from them very easy. If you're slowed by some sort of mechanic that's holding you down, you can do this as well. It just kind of lets you bypass quite a lot and is infinite in stamina, so it's really nice. But that's not all for mobility for thief. One weapon skill that I think is very slept on, it's really good for mobility, is concussive leap. If you use concussive leap after a jump, you get a little bit more verticality, a little bit more air time. If you were to follow that up with a splitter spin, you'll extend the air time even more, giving you, most importantly, even a bit more vertical height. It ends up allowing for impressive traversal for a class that comes by default with a very awkward and unreliable wall jump. When you do the jump, concussive leap, and then a spin, you're getting basically the same height as a mage or sorcerer that's using levitate, which is obviously fantastic for reaching different areas early. This is honestly a movement technique I wish I'd known way sooner, because there's been a lot of ladders that I just couldn't reach that, you know, I could have if I was using this combo. And it's also the fact that the main damaging ability, the splitter attacks, that spin deals more damage the more you're spinning in the air for longer, so getting extra height beforehand is not a bad thing. It lets you reach that little bit higher, sometimes that's all you need. Speaking of thief, there's one other thing that I'd like to reference, and that's the kind of smoke bomb weapon skill. Very underappreciated, and I found it's kind of busted. Specifically for one of the main complaints for the game is running through the area, running into a regular pack of enemies like wolves or hobgoblins or whatever, and them slowing you down. While you can sprint past them most of the time, sometimes your pawns get caught and you have to go back and help them, or you do. The point of a smoke bomb is basically leaving enemies confused and vulnerable, as if they're knocked down or stunned. So if you run up to them during this smoke bomb situation and use a heavy attack, you'll do one of those critical animations, kind of like executing them. So with one smoke bomb, you can take down 3 or 4 regular enemies instantly, no contestation. In general, any scenario where you're dealing with regular enemies, it means you can instantly take them down, which is just really convenient. Okay, next, some really cool details I didn't know about the Golem enemy type. Their heads are detachable to some comedic results. For example, I saw this post on Reddit by the user Jim Daniels. They were showcasing a simple Golem fight that went well, they got a win, now it's time to loot. Just kidding, they're dead. I didn't realize this, but when you kill a Golem, the head will detach and kind of shoot or fall forward. Anything that's hit by that is going to get crushed. It counts as this heavy physical object, so it's actually really dangerous. But that head actually has some interesting details around it because it's detachable, and the Golem can stay alive even with it gone. If mid-fight you detach that head, the cannon blast that they do when enraged will continue to happen. To remove a head mid-fight, you just need to stagger them. So when they're kind of like falling almost and they're off balance, do something that will push them to a full knockdown. That could be literally running up to the leg and grabbing and pushing, or some sort of force or explosion. When they get knocked down, they kind of crumble, parts of them fall off, including their head, which is now rolling around. That head you can now run up to and grab. You can't quite pick it up, but you can move it around. You can turn it, reposition it, which means like a kind of potent cannon turret, you can move it around and aim it back at the Golem, which might destroy its weak points with really effective damage, or other enemies in the nearby area. So being able to completely get rid of that, point it at the floor, or use it against the Golem is pretty cool, but also like a subtle detail that's mechanically, quite interesting. Okay, finally, one last thing I want to mention is just a useful tip for you and your pawns. As you likely know, you can have pawns catch you, completely mitigating whatever fall damage you might have been about to take, but it's one that's hard to reliably have happen in normal gameplay. Technically, what you can do is take a pawn and throw them off a ledge, and then while they're down there, having taken the damage that you don't want to take, jump down and they'll catch you. If it's not a kill drop, it works pretty well, other than the fact that you're intentionally hurting your own pawns. But as I talked about recently, you can maximize this potential to even better effect with a magic archer. Since magic archers can revive pawns from range, that means you can throw them from any height, and if it does kill them, who cares? You can now charge up a ranged revive, bring them back, and set up a really nice spot to jump down and have that pawn catch you as a newly revived pawn. It means if you come across a really high drop and you don't want to spend all that time going around, well, there is an option. On top of that though, you can indeed catch the pawns yourself. They're gonna fall off ledges and make dumb choices too. If you simply hold the grab button while the pawn is falling down near you, you kind of automatically grab them out of the air, doing exactly the same thing they were doing for you, but on the other end. This can save them from taking random or silly fall damage, or even killing themselves, which they can do. But yeah, there you have it. That's my first episode of random things you might not have known. Hopefully some of that is useful or interesting to think about. If you guys have any tips or details like this, then let us know in the comments. I might just be able to make another video. For now though, I've been Hollow, you've been you. Thanks for watching.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.